21. Nancy, can you please call the roll?
Sulkitis.
Here.
Fala.
Here.
Seeleitner.
Here.
Bongar.
Here.
Bancroft.
Here.
Lencioni.
Here.
Petrula.
Here.
Wirball.
Here.
Besner.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, new business, City Administrator Heather McGuire.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I wanted to start by apologizing for the quick timeline with which we had to present this before you. But on the 27th, the Senate passed and added Amendment Number 2 to Senate Bill 3136, which was regarding the push tax for municipal gaming operations. The context of that bill required us to pass and implement a push tax if we intended to do so by midnight on 10/31, which meant that if we did not do so, we would forego our right to implement that tax at a later date. You have some additional information before you in the memo, but this will not be effective until May 1, 2022. But because of the parameters with which we had to implement this, if we did not do this and act on this today, we would not be able to do this in the future. We anticipate that some additional rules and regulations and clarifications will be forthcoming from the Senate and any other of the other organizations that will be participating in these rules, but this will give us some additional time to implement those changes and work through any details that we need to figure out before the implementation of this. We do want to involve the business owners in further discussion on this. I know I was reached out to by a number of business owners that were concerned about this impact on their revenue. And after my discussions with the mayor, I know it is the intent that we do not actually affect any of the revenue streams from these business owners, and this is a tax ultimately pushed on to the users. If for some reason we cannot find a way to implement that with the software or any other mechanisms that will be in place for this push tax, it is the mayor's intent that we bring this back before City Council to ultimately repeal it, because it is, again, not an intention to put this tax on the actual business owners. This is intended to be an end user tax. So with that, I will answer any questions that you have, but the ordinance is for you for consideration this afternoon.
I just want to reiterate what you just said, Heather. I too have received calls from business owners. I've talked with some of you, and my intent is not to impact the businesses with it. So just so City Council is aware, if that is the outcome, once we get into close to May, I will be bringing it back for us to review, and potentially my recommendation would be to rescind that. So, go ahead. I know there might be other questions. Yes.
What type of revenue are we looking at with this push tax?
So it's really hard to assess the exact number. We started pulling some of the finances from what we receive from video gaming, but we don't currently receive the data on the actual number of pushes. So it's going to take some time for us to work through those details. We did look to see what we get, but it's just going to be a matter of actually assessing it after the fact. And seeing if there's any implementation at the state level of something that allows us to actually see what portion of that is dedicated towards those pushes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions on this side? Yes, Alderman Weber.
So as far as I know, I don't believe there's a mechanism right now to even monitor the pushes, but just to reiterate what the mayor said, I mean, if without having dialogue with the businesses and see how this is really going to work out, I mean, I would support it right now, but until we have more information, I definitely don't want to just, impose this upon the businesses until we know more information about it.
And Alderman Weber, to that point, I did personally speak with a couple of business owners who are very concerned about this, and my message to them is exactly the same that the mayor reiterated here today, which is that we have to act on this now, otherwise we lose our ability. We understand that it's concerning to them, and we will work through it and continue to be business friendly and business positive in this community, but they understood the idea that if we didn't pass this by today, we couldn't even have that discussion later on. So I reiterated we will include them. It's my intent to send out a letter to all of those owners that are operators so they know exactly that this was passed and when the effective date is, as well as continuing that dialogue with them.
Thank you.
Alderman Lencioni.
Yeah, I know it's early for questions, but I want to get them on the record for sure. So my first question, so we don't have any idea of how this tax would be collected, because the only sense I have is you would actually have to collect that tax, at each play, because that tax has to be there.
So the way that our ordinance is currently worded is it's allowing that operator to pass that tax on to the user. Now, there are a few different mechanisms by which they could do that, and some of that will depend on any software modifications that are made. The city attorney and I talked about ways to do it as a per push tax so that they're aware at the time of that play that it's added, or a deduction at the end of their earnings or winnings. There are a few different ways that we can do it basically, but our ordinance is phrased in such a way to allow the business owners the freedom to figure out how they want to do that.
Okay. Do you have a sense from what the conversation was, the legislative conversation that drove this tax? What were they hoping to accomplish allowing this tax in Springfield?
So I think it was probably the opposite, and I'm just sort of speculating here a little bit, but they wanted to have this hard stop date. There is currently there is a lawsuit pending against the original municipality that implemented this tax, and I think they wanted to put a stoppage on this going forward and figure out exactly how to control this, basically. So I don't think it was a mechanism to allow it going forward, because if it's not passed by midnight tonight, nobody else can do it regardless of home rule status.
Okay, last comment, and this is more a comment than a question. I do support it currently, but I mean, I do also take your word that we'll repeal it if we can't find, as we discover exactly how this is going to impact things, that if it's not business neutral, that we look back and don't do it.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Petrillo, anything?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
thank you.
Alderman Bailey.
Heather, is there municipalities that are implementing this now?
Attorney Peppers and I have been in this discussion at the time, you want to answer that? At the time that we started discussing this, I believe there were only about 5 on the books, and there were handfuls of others that were working on doing the exact same thing that we're doing today.
Yeah, as of late Thursday night, when we really ramped up on this, as of Wednesday there were 4. By Thursday night, there were talks of 9, and by Friday, we didn't get the final count, but it's at least tripled. So, and we have a couple communities that our office is working on it. They're meeting at 11 and 12 and 1 today to pass tax.
I guess I'm asking, they're actually implementing it, not just have it on the books. Is there anybody implementing it?
We're not aware of anyone implementing it yet.
Okay, because it seems kind of, we're not going to get cooperation from businesses or from the gaming machine companies. So I'm not sure how we're going to be able to take the next step.
It's my understanding that the State Gaming Commission is going to really work to put together the software requirements for the terminal operators. They control everything.
Right, anyway. Right,
yeah,
right.
They know every push, they know every bet, they know every disbursement. We don't know that it's going to start there and then it filter down to everybody. As Heather indicated, it's a little bit of work in progress.
Okay.
To figure out how to implement it, which is why the May 1, 2022 date became so important.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Alderman Sulkaitis, do you have any questions?
We'll just say I'm in favor of this too, but we'll see how it progresses, but say it's a penny a push, right?
Correct.
Okay. $20 bet, I can't see that stopping someone from gambling, in my opinion.
Before we move forward, since we got the questions taken care of up here, I think I have to read something into the record, but I know there's an individual here, and I just welcome you. You're welcome to speak if you'd like. You just have to come to the podium. Oh, did you want me to read your statement, or? Sure, okay. I'm assuming you're James? Yes. Okay. I'll just read Mr. Tom's statement into the record. Mayor Vitek and the board, thank you for allowing my comments to be expressed prior to your vote. My name is James Tom with Whammy Gaming and Western Automatic Music, Inc. We have been operating coin-operated amusement devices in St. Charles for almost 2 years. We hope to operate video gaming terminals in St. Charles in the very near future. In the interest of time, I would simply like to ask the board to reject the push tax idea. It is a bad idea now, it will be a bad idea in the future, and it could end up chasing players into businesses and neighboring municipalities that don't ask their players to pay a penny for every bet they make. Other municipalities were going to rush into passing the tax, but after learning about the difficulties it created and how unfair it was, they decided it was a very bad idea and did not pass it. I understand that on the first look, push tax seems like a great idea. It's called a tax on the player, but who is the player? We are not allowed to track players. How will we collect this tax? It sounds harmless, but the industry makes approximately 8 cents per push. A simple little penny turns out to be a 12.5% additional tax. That would give municipalities an increase from 5 to 17.5%, a 250% increase. That is excessive. I don't believe St. Charles is anti-business. I've seen just the opposite over the 2 years I've worked there. Again, I ask you to vote no to this proposal. Help keep the businesses in St. Charles that depend upon their video gaming revenue strong. That way they can reinvest in their businesses, the community, employee, citizens of your fine city. Thank you in advance. Thank you. did you have any further comments, City Administrator?
The only other comment I will make is if any of the business owners do want to reach out and have these discussions with me, get their comments noted on the record, or just ask questions in the future, I'm always available. If any of the council members want to direct those business owners to me, I'm happy to facilitate those conversations as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so at this point, we're looking for a motion.
So move.
Do you mind reading it into the
Oh,
record?
yeah,
Because I don't
sure.
think you're ready to.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance amending Title III entitled Revenue Administration of the St. Charles Municipal Code with regarding imposition of a municipal push tax on plays of video gaming terminals.
Second.
Moved by Wirball, seconded by Kulkaitis. Any further discussion? No? Nance, please call the roll.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besser?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Fella?
Yes.
Haylander?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there any additional items from the group up here? Anything else citizens would like to say? Heather, Nick, anything? No? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Lencioni, seconded by Petrilla. Nance, please call the roll.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besser?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Fella?
Yes.
Haylander?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming in on short notice.